Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Modern Day Mystics Show. Our mission here is to help you turn whatever you desire into real-life manifestations by sharing our revolutionary technology to make that happen for you. We bring you such cutting-edge information through our resident wizard, Peter Schenk, and also through such magical guests each week that are really making a difference to improve our lives on a variety of levels. I'm your co-host, Donna, along with the founder of this program, the modern day mystic himself, Peter Schenk. Peter, how are you?
Hey, Donna, I'm doing good. Doing great, actually. A lot of stuff going on, folks. First things first, we had a really cool testimonial come in about 10 minutes ago called Unfeckin' Believable, Source 5. It's on the social media. You can check it out. It's pretty inspiring, actually. So 30-day challenge is well in development. You've seen by now the commercial that we released. The only information that's going to be sent out is going to be sent out through the master email list. So if you have not, get up there and subscribe to it, please. It's the only way you're going to be able to get the videos that will be going out in the new year and everyone's documentation that will be following those emails. The HFA Plus will be here in about a week. So you'll be seeing the website click in. This is for home and office, building on the technology of the very successful HFA, new way to travel. I posted a family picture of these guys. So they're all coming. Everything should be here prior to Christmas and ready to rock and roll. We'll have some really good deals on that coming up. And we also want to hear about your Source 5 experience. I'm sorry I've been very quiet this week. I've been monitoring the software rollout. This has been the most anticipated software rollout I have ever done. It has been very, very successful from what people are starting to manifest, utilizing it. And I've had a lot of questions come back. So earlier in the week, I did a 5-day mini series on how to utilize it, just doing some very, very simple techniques to bring stuff into fruition. So if you haven't tried it, get it. The sale, the 20% off for people that originally signed up is good for another, I think, 12 hours. So it's good to go. And of course, if you own any of the other source lineage, you're 50% off right out of the gate. Donna, what else was I going to talk about? I forgot.
Well, let's see here. Well,
I'm creeping close to 50. I forget everything.
Oh, stop it.
I want everyone to congratulate Donna. She is now a full-time employee of the MDM team. She made the jump. She came out of the closet last week, and she's ready to, get on the other end of the whip. So it's all good, folks. Any spelling mistakes in any of the emails that go out, don't blame me, blame her. Donna, tell us about our guest tonight, please.
You bet. And thank you, Peter. All righty. So let's talk about our incredible guest tonight. We have Dr. Karen Kan with us. She is an empath, earth angel, and holistic physician specializing in spiritual medicine. She employs the integration of mind, body, and spirit in healing and spiritual evolution. Through the process of healing her own debilitating illness, Dr. Karen discovered that journey can be both challenging and rewarding, as the soul is always moving closer and closer to source. Her passion is empowering earth angels, starseeds, and indigos to discover their innate gifts and healing abilities, and to open the doorway for them to connect with their soul's mission. She particularly enjoys working with young millennials who need guidance and healing. So, welcome, Dr. Karen Kan.
Karen, how are you? Welcome.
Hey, I'm great. Thanks, Peter. Thanks, Donna. It's great to be here. Thanks for inviting me.
So, Karen, we have quite a bit of history together. You have interviewed me through 3 iterations of the technology from, I believe, Aquaware 3, 3.1, 4, 5. Did we do a 5 yet? We'll do a 5 soon. And, the source was really the one program that kind of started our interviewing together. And it's been a wild ride over the last few years, for sure. So tell us a little bit about yourself, please.
Well, I never thought that as a medical doctor that I would ever be doing the stuff that I do now. You're an energy healer. I'm an energy healer. But I was really, left brain medicine. Not that I wasn't into like psychology and counseling people. I was always a natural counselor, even as a child. But I always thought, the left brain, that logic was like the most important. But now it's like completely 180. And I think some of the work that you do, which is so, right brain and mystical and who knows where you get your downloads from. I totally, I have a greater appreciation for all of that now. And there was one thing that you said, Peter, with one of the interviews that really struck me. And I think I've told you this before, but you said something to the effect of the source or the aqua, it's sort of like training wheels for us, or almost like a crutch until we can do that manifestation ourselves. And that really stuck with me, that one line that you said, something to that effect, because I feel like at this point that some of your products has really helped to like co-create my new reality, where it's so neat to be able to talk to source directly and to get some answers and to do these healings at a distance and, charge energetically, whatever it is, whether it be a crystal or water or something. And it's great. And so I want to thank you for helping me bridge that gap between that, left brain doctor, and then right brain energy healer, and just kind of integrate that science and the intuition all together. It's been a wonderful ride.
And thank you for that, Karen. What I've told people ever since the first iteration of the Source One came out, and that has always been that traditional manifestation doesn't work. It works for a very, very small percentage of the people. And why is that? Because they have doubt and worry. And I've taken a new way of manifestation and combined it with cutting edge technology to make it fun and easy. But any technique that you use to manifest anything in your life requires work. And it's like a muscle. The more you work it, the more results you get. The more results you get, the more invigorated you are. And you start to spread that vibe out into the world. And it's always been about a childlike energy. And that childlike energy, is basically the training wheels to get you on the road to manifesting things. You have a heart hanging over your head, by the way, just FYI.
Still?
Just leave it. Yeah, just leave it. It looks good. So, it was funny because we just had a really good testimonial that came in that was inspired by your testimonial that you had left. And, this is a person that gets it. It's not hard. It's easy. Manifesting things in your life is easy. Any of the software products or any product that you use out there is just a training wheel to get you to the higher octaves. When you're in the higher octaves, you get a bit of information. What you do with that information determines if you move to the next octave. And as you vibrate higher, you spread this love and these higher vibrations out into the world. And when you do that, manifestation, it becomes easier because it's like moving up the ranks. You get noticed by your higher ups. You get noticed by the universe. The higher you vibrate, the more it wants to help you. The more it wants to help you, the more invigorated you get to get it out into the world. And the Source 5 is just, a very advanced tool. It's undergone, 7 years of 5 generations of how I learn, how I observe, and what I do to get it to where it is. And that's why, it's manifestation made easy, your reality taken internally, the genie in the bottle, whatever you want to call it. It's got 24 names out there. I don't even know anymore. It takes on a life of its own. And the more you use it, the better it gets. And you've experienced that for sure.
Yeah, it's being more and more in alignment with source. And like you said, if it's not for your highest and greatest good, if it somehow is counter to your soul's mission, then that particular result you want may or may not happen. And that was really great to know too, because some people are like, oh, this happened, worked for me and this didn't work for me. And after a while, you realize it actually makes sense, certain things. Like, for example, pain relief. Pain relief is a tough one for me personally, but it took me a while until this past year to realize that my body actually is like the empath for Mother Earth. So her and I are what we call soul destiny partners. So Mother Earth, when she needs help or she calls for help or whatever's going on in her, I will feel it in my body. And right now we're trying to rewire that so it doesn't have to be pain. So still learning that one. Getting a little bit better with the claircognizance, but since I'm mostly clairsentient, it comes through my body. So, you know, some days it'll be like, oh, you need to heal a bridge. And I'm like, okay, where? And then it's like Australia, you know, and so we'll be healing stuff from Mother Earth.
During that part of your conversation, you just said your own Achilles heel and you didn't even realize it. Okay. You want to rewire the pain that you feel from Mother Earth. And you said, I'm trying. Okay. Trying is a word that you need to lose. Everyone needs to lose that in their vocabulary, because trying is neutrality. You're stuck in neutrality. You're not moving forward and you're not moving backwards. You're not doing anything. When you remove that, you either do or you don't. That's it. Black and white.
Right. Actually, T. Harv Eker used to say that all the time. And, you know, our peak potentials, he'd be like, you do or you do not do. You don't try. You either do the axle or you don't do the axle. I'm a figure skater, so I'm using that analogy. Yes. So I am rewiring. So
well, I did the axle and I broke my leg. So.
Body, basically. What was that?
I tried the axle, I broke my leg, so that idea. I did it, but I broke my leg, so it doesn't work anyways. So this crowd likes massive activations, and you are the perfect conduit by which is going to make it happen. So stage is yours. Let's rock it.
Well, okay. There's a lot of things that I've noticed recently, and one of the most recent things that I've noticed is that there's a lot of different consciousnesses that are co-creating our reality. It's not just us and Source. There's extraterrestrial consciousnesses, there's entity consciousnesses, and I don't know if you watched my last Spiritual Medicine Digest a couple weeks ago, but I actually revealed who was in charge of each of the presidential candidates. And that was a hoot. And so one of the things I want to do here is actually do a little clearing for everyone, and also a little grounding too. I also learned recently that, you know, not all of us are supposed to be grounded completely to Mother Earth, which was a shock to me. Instead, we can be grounded to our own blueprint, whatever that may be, up above, down below. This is some of Verena DeCure's work. And so this is something that we can also ask for and complete. So if everyone wants to just share in this activation, you can just, you know, rest, keep your eyes open, close, whatever feels good to you. But what I want you to do is pay attention to your body and how that feels. And would love if you gave some feedback afterwards to Donna right on the YouTube channel page to let us know how you feel. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is we're going to do a bit of clearing. So I'm going to actually say the command. Now this is part of my what I call the TopicHealing healing. I'm just going to test first. Let's connect up to Source. I'm doing some muscle testing as I'm saying this. Let's see. Okay, what percentage of the viewers live and on the replay, because we can do in the future as well, what percentage of the viewers are actually completely 100% sovereign in their consciousness? That means nothing can touch them, nothing can attach to them. They are completely and utterly you know, on their own. So let's ask 50, 60, 70, 80, 70, 1, 2, 3. So about 73, okay, % of the viewers are completely sovereign. So I've understood from Source, we've got spiritual, mental, emotional, energetic, and we've got dimensional areas of consciousness sovereignty. So we're going to clear that. We're also going to ask the light score. One of my favorite things to do now is ask the light score. This is the proportion of light and dark in someone. You can ask the light score of a liver, for example, but we can just generally ask, what is the average light score of the people that are listening right now and in the replay? So out of 100, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 80, 80, 1, 2, 3, 83. That's pretty high, Peter. You have a good crowd here. 83 out of 100.
We always have the best crowd.
You have the best crowd. Well, you know, the average American, I just actually did it earlier today. The average American runs around a 44 out of 100. So you've got 83. So that's a pretty good light score there. Okay, wow. And let's ask, how grounded are people on average? Again, on average for now and on the replay, whoever's listening in. 50%, 60, 70, 87, 5, 6, 7. Again, pretty good. 77% ground is actually pretty good for most people. Okay, so we're going to go ahead. So if people want it, you can close your eyes if you'd like, if you can feel your body better that way. So we're just going to go ahead and do a cleansing and grounding. So it is now commanded with the power of love and light that anything and all interferences with you having your consciousness completely 100% sovereign and restored be healed in the highest and best way, that your consciousness, mental, emotional, spiritual, energetic, dimensional, any others that we have missed that would be for your highest and greatest good be cleansed and restored to full and 100% sovereignty. And that you be grounded fully to your blueprint if it's safe for you to do that, up above, down below, in the highest and best way. And that your aura be cleaned 100% with speed, ease, and grace. For this and all the blessings, we give our thanks and gratitude. So be it. Okay, so I know that was super, super fast. But people can definitely, check in and let me know how that feels. And let me retest right now. So is there a change in the light score of everyone listening in, replay and live? Yes. Okay. So we said 83, I think. What is it now? 80, 90, 85, 6, 7, 8, 9, 89. So 83 to 89. Awesome. And what about the, what percentage of folks have absolutely 100% consciousness restored to 100% sovereignty? 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 98. Wow. Okay, better than I thought. That is really, really cool. Okay, and let's see. How about grounding? So what percentage of grounding do people have on average? 50, 60, 70, 80, 95, 6, 7, 8, 9, 99% grounded. Okay, so for those of you that can feel your bodies, that are in touch with your body, you should feel different. So you might feel a little warm, a little tingly. I don't really know. So, but these are some of the comments that we get. So would love to check out, what people are saying, on the YouTube.
You got it. So
I would, before you do that, I'd like to amplify those effects. If everyone could get a glass of water, please. I want to see if we can get those numbers all into the 90s. So watch this. Everyone take your left hand, put it over your glass of water, please. 3 inches, spread your fingers. In a second, you'll feel that universal energy running down through your hand into the water. Put your attention on the water and repeat the words out loud. I honor the space in which you exist. And I get this question asked a lot. Why do we have to say that? Any energy that's in physical form or non-physical form will do absolutely anything for you as long as you acknowledge its existence. And honoring its space is the highest form of acknowledgement. By now, you'll start to feel that energy flow through your hand into the water, increasing. Water does funny things at this part, folks. Sometimes it'll move. Sometimes it starts to bubble. Sometimes it'll crawl out of the glass. Sometimes it soaks through the glass. Sometimes it doesn't do anything. We had a couple of callers on some shows I did last year that said their water turned purple, or the color of blueberry, blue. Pretty interesting. Everyone drink up. Notice the taste and the texture of the water. Some people describe it as smooth. Some people describe it as silky. Now, feel the energy where it moves inside your body. Let's do that again now, Karen.
All right, let's recheck. So how grounded, let's start with the light score. So how high is the light score of the average person that is listening to the show, either live or replay? 50, 60, 70, 80, 95, 6, 95 now. Excellent. And how about how grounded is everyone? 50, 60, 70, 61. Okay, a little less grounded, which I have noticed sometimes when we do the water activation.
My bad.
You didn't ask me beforehand what it was, but that's what happened last time that I was on the live show with you. But anyway, all right. So let's see. How about what percentage of people's consciousnesses are completely 100% sovereign and intact? We started at 90 something, so 95, 6, 7, 8, 98. Okay, so that didn't get better, but it was, again, already pretty high, pretty close to 100, which is pretty good, because most people do not start anywhere close to 90.
So let's talk about the grounding. What does that mean? Why did it go down?
Well, let's ask specifically now. Let's check two different kinds of grounding. So, in terms of the spirit in the body, what percentage of people have their spirit in their physical body, grounded in their physical body, prior to Peter's activation? 50, 60, 70, 80, 95, 6, 95, and after 50, 40, 50, 40. Oh, that's interesting. 41, 40. Okay. What about the other definition of grounding? Grounding to one's own blueprint. 50, what was it prior to Peter's activation? 50, 60, 70, 80, 95, 6, 7, 87. Okay, we have two different kinds of grounding. So we're talking about grounding to the blueprint now. Is it safe for everyone to completely ground to the blueprint today? I'm getting a no. Sometimes it's not safe. So it's too long an explanation of why. But anyway, okay, so what about afterwards, after Peter's activation? So what's the average person grounded to as far as their blueprint? 50, 60, 70, 80, 75, 6, 7, 77. So kind of close to the 80-something. So there's something about the light energies that is ungrounding, at least temporarily. And that sometimes happens. You know, some people say that when they go to the acupuncturist and, you know, they get acupuncture that they're like, woo, floating and just like, wow. And so sometimes the higher consciousness, it brings you out of your body temporarily. And then, you know, but my intention for the healing that I did was for people to get grounded. So you did the opposite of what I asked, but that's okay.
What did I do?
But I think
Really?
I think that might be your natural state, which is okay.
How crazy is this? Someone talking on a YouTube, whatever, with a glass of water going blah, 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 and they're floating around. That's just insanity. That's not possible. Donna, back me up. It's not possible. This is my definition of what happened. When the human body comes into contact with anything in existence that vibrates higher than they do, and clearly after an activation like that, that water is vibrating much higher than your physical body, your light body is instantly brought to that level, and the physical body generally takes about 72 hours to match that frequency, at which time you can detox on your way to that octave. Mm-hmm. And as the body, you know, everyone comes in grounded, but as the body's vibrating higher just by drinking the water, they become ungrounded. It's just perfectly natural for a set amount of time. So they come in with the bar set here, they drink the water, their body vibrates a little bit higher. The time by which they drink it and gets here, you need to be ungrounded because your body just wants to gravitate naturally towards those higher octaves.
Yeah, I agree with you. The physical body takes longer to make those shifts and changes, which is one of the reasons why it's really challenging, especially for those of us that have to ground the ascension energies for not just ourselves, but for others, mass consciousness, or in my case, Mother Earth, is that when those energies come in, I have to recheck my grounding sometimes, because sometimes you just have to like live, you know, and drive to work and, you know, pay the bills and do some grounded things. So sometimes it can be very ungrounding for people. Their boundaries can kind of go whooshy and thin, you know, when we have these higher vibrational energies enter. And sometimes those of us that are really sensitive and empathic have to actually literally shore up our boundaries or ground ourselves back and make it just faster, integrate it faster, so we can ask for that faster integration. It's one of the things that I put into one of my Ascension healing products, the Ascension 2. We have like lots of different frequencies in there, and one of the things we have is that grounding to our own blueprint, but also that we're able to process faster. So people that would have lots of detox symptoms, we put in the frequencies and whatever that command to be able to process those much faster. And as each ascension comes up, we actually have more frequencies available to us to actually process faster and minimize detox. It's amazing what's available once we ask what is available to there. And sometimes I get a no, like, you know, certain things are not available, that it's not for the highest and greatest good. But most of the time, whatever we can ask for can be done. And like, for example, I just created what we call the universal shield. I have funky names for things, but basically I was sick and tired of people having, breaks where, entities or saboteurs, little weapons, implants, things could be attached to them. And it seemed like the oversoul had sometimes some breaks in it, or the individuated soul. We found these little wormholes between individuated souls where their future life issues would come into their current life issues, and they would feel physically in their body what was going on in their future lives. We'd constantly be healing all these vows and contracts and curses and things from their future life. So I'm like, what is going on with this person? And we found these little wormholes. So I created the universal shield that's never been created in at least the history of humanity, so that we can download this shield for people. And so most people will have all their mini shields or their sub shields completely, intact after downloading the universal shield. Not everybody. Some people just have to have whatever imbalance they have to have, so they will know what it is. Some of us are, the learning types that have to have difficulties in order for us to do what we need to do in this world. Some people, it's really easy, you give them one diet and they're fine, and and then there's those of us that just take a long time or have a lot of challenges, and I'm one of those types.
I personally find it, I'm at my best with my hair on fire at 200 miles an hour, completely ungrounded, creating and doing what I do. And I try, oops. Did I just say that word? I work in that environment. That's where I'm at my best. And it's just interesting. I don't like being grounded. Being grounded means it's almost like I'm asleep again, and I'll never, it's impossible to go back to sleep once you've woken up. But being
star people don't tend to like being in their bodies sometimes, so.
I'm not from Mother Earth. I'm from out there.
Probably.
But I just work my best when I'm completely ungrounded. That's where the streams of information that come to me are really at their best. And sure. I also get great ideas when I'm in the shower too. For some reason, I guess the water over the body. Someone mentioned on another show. But early in the morning, I'm completely ungrounded. And then I drink my coffee and I come back to Earth for a little while, but it's all good.
Well, we do a lot of astral traveling when we're sleeping, so I'm not surprised.
I do astral traveling when I'm walking and having conversations.
As long as you don't.
So, can you tell us a little bit more about the universal shield? You kind of piqued my interest in that.
Well, sometimes I'm hearing an echo, actually. Donna, do you hear the echo?
No.
No, okay, great. So sometimes we can ask God, the universe, to absolutely help us create or co-create something brand new. Like I said, where there's a problem, sometimes you can ask for the answer and create it yourself. So anytime that I get a problem that keeps cropping up over and over and over and over again, either for myself or my patient, I know there's a bigger picture. So I walk away and look at the bigger picture and go, okay, how can I help more than just this one person? This is a problem that keeps happening all the time. So actually I co-created this with God and said, okay, I'm creating a universal shield, and that is going to include, the auric shielding, the astral shielding, the individuated body shielding, individuated soul shielding, the shielding at the photon level, DNA level, wave level. So sometimes we'll ask, are there any entities or ghosts or, demons attached to, near, around this person? I get a no. We ask if there's hidden ones. I get a no. And then I ask, okay, well, let's ask all the way down to the molecular level. Is there some negative energy attached to, something on the molecular level? And I might get a yes. I might ask for a hormone or receptor. Being a doctor is very helpful because I can ask these very, very specific questions. So we have found, for example, 80 generations of ghosts attached to someone's insulin receptor. And the symptom they were having was horrible, horrible sugar cravings and borderline diabetes. So then I'm able to find them and then release them, and then they don't have the sugar cravings anymore. And so same thing, somebody else's liver was like, horrible liver function testing, was on some medications, couldn't get off the medications, at least not yet, because there was a addiction component, so they had to wean off, and their doctor was really, really worried about their liver. So we actually found some other things really attached to, a subatomic particle or at the waveform of the liver, we were able to release. And within, 3 weeks or so, her liver enzymes went back to normal despite still being on those medications. And so the universal shield goes all the way down to that level, and I'm asking it to go all the way to the subtle energy level 2. So we can actually download the universal shield to ourselves, our pets, our parents, our our laptop computers.
So this is something you work one-on-one with people with?
Yeah, absolutely. Of course, I have a lot of students as well. And one of the classes we're running right now is called the Light Warrior Boot Camp. So these are folks that, already have my Ascension and 1 and 2 healing products. Ascension 1 is actually the one that takes away and removes and heals so-called dark or negative energy. So the ones that remove, implants and curses, negative contracts, vows, trapped emotions, heart walls, that kind of thing. And then the Ascension 2 adds positive energy and balances all the organs and glands and things like that. And so in the Light Warrior Boot Camp, I go into more specifics of if someone were to, want to test themselves or their loved ones for entities, how would they do that? And then we show them how they would clear them manually, because sometimes it is a little tricky. We've had a lot of people with electronic issues in the group. And so last class, we actually did a whole class on how to clear your electronics. I have found entities attached to my DVD player, to software programs, blocking software programs. And it's amazing because, I'll do this healing on my computer at work, and my assistant, at the first time he saw me do this healing, he's like, okay, I've seen a lot of computers repaired, but never this way. All I did was I asked, if there were any negative entities attached, including monkey demons and dark watchers. I get a yes. So we just command them to be gone and then to be healed. And then boom, laptop works again. So, and not that we can say it's 100%, but if it's entity or ET related, and that's a really common thing. You remember the cyber attack, October 21st, 2016? I mean, this was just a few weeks ago, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah, major ET interference here. Now, the funny thing is that I go in, I do the healing or command the healing. I don't do the healing. I command the healing. I find out, what exactly happened. And then I'm like, oh, can I do a YouTube video on that? And God's like, no. Okay, fine. I'll just tell my students in private, what it was. But I totally expected after the healing, everything was going to be up and running, and they weren't going to figure out what was going on. There was no way they could figure it out because it was completely out of the context of what they would consider a cyber attack. They think it's human. It's not. It wasn't. Yeah, so we do these for people individually if they need that, but I love teaching it in our classes.
Have you taken a group of people and asked them something that they would want to have shielded to think about that manifestation that's bothering them or whatever in their life, and then actually brought down that universal shield on a large group of people?
Yeah, actually I did. Actually, I do a lot of global stuff. Like I said, sometimes it doesn't stick for that particular person.
You know what? You're about to do it again.
Okay. Yeah, we can actually check in and see what percentage of people have the Universal Shield 100% downloaded and activated, and what percent don't.
Oh, no. You're not getting off that easy. I'm talking about actually doing it right now to the crowd, having them think about something they want the shield around, and then having you bring it down on.
Well, that's not the shield that I created, but they can create their own shield if they'd like.
Awesome.
Yeah, one of the things about what I call the TopicHealing Method is, and I didn't actually, preface what it was in case some of your listeners aren't, don't know me or don't follow me. So the TopicHealing Method came out of a conversation with the Archangels one day. I was actually driving to Canada, and I was asking them all sorts of questions, and the information was just coming crazy. I actually got out my iPad and started typing because it was coming out so fast, this information from them. And basically, they had gifted us this way of connecting to Source, of being able to command a healing. You don't have to go into any particular brainwave state, to do this healing. And what I got was that it has something to do with our amazing human ability to imagine. And this is what you say people do, when they use your product, is to imagine the creation, whatever it is they want to manifest. The better you can imagine, the better it works. For example, I teach my students how to do weather magic. I teach them in 2 minutes. It's really easy, guys. So especially if you want to manifest a particular weather pattern and it's relevant to you personally, you have more juice. You have more, it means more to you. So that even works better. Now, the caveat is if Mother Earth needs to rebalance herself, and that is for Mother Earth's highest and greatest good, you might want sun, but it might have to rain, okay? But a lot of times you get what you want, but most people don't realize they can create that. They can create that, traffic magic. They can create that right before they even, days before. So that's how my students and I were able to basically make Hurricane Patricia last October 2015. We were able to basically dissipate it within 12 hours. I got the call 8 p.m. at night. Email, and I just was like, oh my gosh, I gotta bring this out to my students. And we did weather magic, and by the morning it had dissipated into almost nothingness. And the media reports was like, oh, 250 miles per hour is the worst storm in the Western history. It's gonna devastate Mexico, and hurt all these poor people. And it was like the next day they had nothing to report. I think they were really upset. They didn't know to be upset at me, but so these are things you can do. So yeah, so everybody right now, let's go ahead and download. Now, if you want to download the Universal Shield that I've intended, you can. If you want to create one for yourself, basically it is something that that helps you become whole and sovereign, so that anything that isn't you, that isn't for your highest and greatest good, be separated from you, so you and Source can connect and manifest uniquely, just the two of you. That's the way it was meant to be, without interference. A lot of people are like, oh, I'll stay on the light, I don't want to talk about the dark, and that's fine. The only problem is a lot of these people have a ton of entities following them, like an entourage, because they don't have to believe in them necessarily, but they don't honor that sometimes to be in the light means working through your dark stuff and healing it and loving it, loving it into the light, not ignoring it. So let's go ahead and let's download this Universal Shield. It says, now command the power of love and light that everyone who wants to have this Universal Shield, it be downloaded and activated in you 100% with speed, ease, and grace, all the way down to the submolecular, quantum, particle, wave, and subtle energy levels in all directions of time, past, present, future, in all dimensions, with speed, ease, and grace. Thank you. Okay, so we can actually check what percentage of people have already had. Now, I already use that word. I already downloaded it to most people on Earth. So what was it prior to this activation? 50%, 60, 70, 80, 91, 91% of all humanity on Earth have this Universal Shield at 100% intact. No, not 100%. Okay, what percentage are 100% intact? Before the activation? 50, 67, no, okay, 60, 1, 2, 3, 63. So 63% of all humanity are completely 100% intact with this Universal Shield at the moment before the activation. And what about now? 60, yes, 70, 80, 85, 86%. Okay, so we went up about 20 points. That's pretty good. Again, if it doesn't work on everybody 100%, it may not be for their highest and greatest good right now.
Better than going backwards.
That is true.
So how does a medical doctor get into energy healing? Did you have some type of wake-up experience?
Yes, I talk about it in my best-selling book, Guide to Healing Chronic Pain, A Holistic Approach. I basically I was like, go, 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 workaholic, loved what I did, and just was but I was just really into like proving myself or something. So I basically worked myself silly until I was so stressed out. I was building a house. I lost a spouse, and it rhymes, by the way. And that did it. I got fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome. I was miserable, suicidal. And that was my wonderful wake-up call from the universe. I like to call it the angelic 2x4. You know, so you get these little hints like, oh, tap her on the shoulder. Tell her she's going in the wrong direction against her soul's mission. And it's like, well, that didn't work. Well, tap her a little harder on the shoulder. No, that didn't work either. Okay. Well, maybe smack her up the side of the head a little bit. No, that didn't work. She's still going 2,000 miles an hour. Okay, guys, get the 2x4. It's time for the 2x4. Yep. You know, so it's a loving 2x4, but that really knocked me on my BUTT. And that helped me really slow down enough to reevaluate my true happiness, which wasn't even there at all, and to be able to, you know, move into a completely different space and reconnect with spirit. And I got to say, with the fibromyalgia, chronic fatigue syndrome, that most people do not heal from. They take a bunch of drugs and they're on disability, and I was on partial disability for a while. That probably the spiritual growth issue, you know, the spiritual growth part is probably the fastest way that people can heal from that. Yes, the nutrition counts. Yes, you know, taking care of your mental, emotional wellness counts. But boy, you know, working on that spiritual piece, and I have a whole, you know, section of my book just on the spiritual piece. Like, how, like, I'd ask people, if you were to write a story about why this was good for you, what would that story be? You know, and so to just have people see it from a different light, and that was just so helpful to me. And that's how I got into, you know, spiritual healing and energy healing. And now I'm totally woo-woo. So, so yes, I am a medical doctor. I got that left brain. I got the MD and all that stuff. But now this other area is just so much more exciting because I can really help people with chronic illnesses now. And I know you know what that's like.
Absolutely. So what symptoms does a person have that has negative influence or negative entities in their surroundings or attached or even inside them?
Well, there's a lot of different symptoms because it can be almost any erratic, very negative behavior, like cutthroat negative behavior. That's almost always. So if they're in the criminal system, almost always have entities attached or influencing them. We had a couple criminals that escaped from our prison near here. And I really, you know, didn't get into that fear thing that everybody else did in town because that just wasn't in the headspace I was in. But when my neighbor decided he was going to put a bolt lock on his door, because we're in the small town, nobody locks their door around here. So when he decided to put a bolt lock, I thought I better do something about it. So when I went in and checked in, sure enough, you know, both these criminals had multiple entities attached to them. So that criminal behavior is one of them. And sometimes your electronics going wonky and wild without any plausible explanation. You brought it to the computer technician and they can't find anything wrong, or things keep breaking all the time and they can't find anything wrong. They don't know why, you know, things are just burning out. Kids that see monsters, very, you know, it's a very common thing. But I had this 2.5-year-old basically said, hey, I see these monsters and they see a hole in the ground, you know, and that's a portal where monsters can come through. And they can have chronic medical illnesses and chronic pain. Not to say all chronic pain is entities, but quite a few people that are really low, you know, they're really low energy. They feel drained. They're depressed. Julie, who wrote to me, Julie Bott, she was so sweet to let me use her testimonial. She said that before I did the activation in one of the telesummits, she was planning to kill herself that day. And she got the email that this telesummit was happening the next day. And so she looked me up. She thought it was kind of interesting what I was talking about. So she came on the telesummit the next day. We did the group activation. And at the end of that, she said her 35 years of suicidal depression just vanished. It just left her. And she was planning to kill herself. And that is a typical entity related thing. Suicide, you know, suicide attempts, I would say at least 85% are entity related. And besides that, you know, you've got the sometimes people have nightmares and they just have dark thoughts, and they, you know, they tell people law of attraction, right? Think positive thoughts. And I'm like, you know what? Sometimes these thoughts aren't even yours. I've seen aliens download, or at least project, I guess was a better word, negative thought forms to people. There could be hundreds of negative thought forms that they have in their field that it's not theirs, it's not inherited, it's not from their past life, it's not even part of their soul level learning. It's somebody else's stuff. And they're doing this wild experiment, projecting onto others. And oftentimes even the so-called aliens, and I have alien friends, so I'm not saying that aliens are all bad, because there's good people and there's so-called not so good people, but the dark aliens, the ones that have, you know, these dark energies, they are at just as much risk as humans. I'm actually shocked at how many extraterrestrial beings of higher dimension, we're talking high-tech people, you know, telepathy and the whole bit, that they are like newbies when it comes to entities. They can be just as infected as us humans in us lower dimension. In fact, some of them come visit me. Now I have a portal, so not everybody comes ask me for help 24/7. My guardians actually only check in the top people that are allowed in, but so they don't wake me up 24/7. But they will, you know, come and they will ask me for help, and they'll ask me, and then I just problem solve. That's the wonderful thing about a human mind, is that we can problem solve and we can imagine things. And sometimes they don't know how we do that. Like they don't understand how I can change the microbial happiness of their planet within minutes, because they didn't understand that their microbes, when they transplanted it from another planet, that dimensionally it was so different that those microbes aren't happy in their dimension, and all they needed was a little boost up to synchronize them back into the dimension that their planet is in. So I get to do all sorts of fun stuff.
Tell me your experience with alien implants.
Yeah, let's talk about alien implants. You know, there's a lot of stuff written, which I have not read, honestly, you know, online or in books or anything like that about alien implants. It just kind of came as part of, you know, healing. And I was like, what is this thing that I'm testing? You know, it started out as a device, because I didn't really know what the word was for it. It felt like a device, and sometimes it felt like a machine, and other times it's like a little, you know, interference. But there are actually people that have what I guess called our metallic, you know, actually metal implants, and others have implants that we can't see or feel or test in our dimension, but they are causing all sorts of pain and dysfunction, especially the ones that aren't supposed to be there. Now, if somebody has decided, and, you know, before they were incarnated, that they were, you know, going to be implanted for whatever reason, they were a light being and they're coming to be a human, that's fine. But what I'm finding is the ones that don't work for people. So right now, because of our higher vibration, Peter, people are naturally kicking out their own implants. And it's amazing, because I find the ones I'm finding a lot of times now, they're already broken. They don't work anymore, whatever they were supposed to do.
So let's rewind a little bit. So what is your definition of an alien implant? Because it almost sounds like you're talking about something solid in the body, but then the second part of it sounds like it's almost energetic.
Yeah, it could be either, but the energetic ones are often entity type implants that have a particular purpose to cause a certain pain. We've found implants that, you know, amplify what we would call negative emotions. We found implants that project a certain, you know, frequency to cause a certain reaction mentally. Some produce negative thought forms. Some are there to track people where they are.
This is where and I agree with everything you're saying, but this is where my analytical mind kicks in. And I'm just going to kind of steer you away from this for a second. You've heard of the Anunnaki before, right?
I don't really study it, so.
Okay, so Dr. Zachariah and Stitchin wrote a book called The 12th Planet. It was a hit during the 70s. He had a few more books come out after that. But basically, he talks about this race of aliens that came here hundreds of thousands of years ago to mine gold because their atmosphere on their planet needed it to sustain life. And that's a cool theory until you start applying rational thinking to it. Okay, why would a race of aliens travel however far to mine gold here, where don't they have the ability to just create it by putting the subatomic whatever together, or latching onto a comet, I'm sorry, an asteroid, which really has more precious metals than you could ever want here. So just utilizing rational thinking, why would aliens put anything physically into human bodies when they can mentally project it and do it, 100 different ways that are less invasive than an alien abductee and then putting it into them? You understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, absolutely. And both is true. They do both. They do project, and actually some of the more recent, people don't realize they save the earth on a regular basis. I get it's like no glory in it. It's just
but my question to you, Karen, is why put a physical device into a human body?
That's a great question. All I know is that they do, and some of these are can be really super old. Like I say, some of them are tracking devices. Some of them are research, and sometimes the research is not malevolent.
Okay, tracking device is a good one. Think about this. Anyone that you've ever had contact with or you worked on, put your attention on them. You can instantly tell pretty much everything about them and to some extent locate them. Why does it take a physical device to do that? I'm not
sure it's actually physical. And I'm not even sure. And tracking devices are the least that I have not actually seen a lot of those. I've read about them, but I have not seen a lot of those. The ones that I have, basically I ask God, do I need to know what this does? Is it for the person's highest and greatest good? If it's not for the highest and greatest good, and if I don't need to know what it does, then we just clear it and we just dissolve it, uncreate it. And that's where the beauty of, our ability to think and create, works, together with the healing intention and the energies. And so when people have pain, and sometimes they're like, oh, I'm getting better. How come I'm doing all this healing work and I have more pain? Sometimes they have more pain because they're kicking out something like an alien implant. And I would like to share with people exactly where to look for these, because sometimes you actually have to either know a little bit of anatomy or even go and touch the area if you have an area of pain and ask specifically about them, because they don't always show up unless you ask specifically about them. And just, keep kind of a neutral mood about it. Like people kind of go, freak out like, oh, I have 83 implants. It doesn't really matter, the number. The other thing too is a lot of times you can test past, present, future lives. So if you want to, you can be very specific about which one you're testing, but energetically, we can still be affected by so-called alien implants from another lifetime. So you can go ahead and remove and uncreate those as well. So glands, pineal gland, hypothalamus, pituitary, common areas, thymus, thyroid, very common, sometimes parathyroid, vagus nerve, amazing. That is probably the number one place to find them. Vagus nerve, amygdala, kind of like that fight or flight area. Ileocecal valve, the valve between the small intestine and the large intestine, which gets dysfunctional a lot in people. And Western medical science doesn't even recognize that there is a problem with the ileocecal valve. We don't even talk about it at all. The appendix, another really common area, and the adrenal glands. Now, there are other areas as well, but those are kind of the really big ones. And the last one I recently discovered was the omentum. The omentum is the area where we ground our ascension in our physical bodies, and which is somewhat of a little bit of a problem with me because it keeps getting bigger. And I told you about that, that with, we'd have an ascension upgrade and I'd be up 2 pounds, and there's like this omentum, just like waterlogged omentum. And so that's another common place for implants. If people find them, you ask, are there implants or hidden implants that aren't for my highest greatest good in this area? If you get a yes, you just command them to be cleared in the highest and best way. Most people have been attuned to the TopicHealing healing energy already, so they can use my Ascension products, Ascension 1, to actually command these to be cleared. If they're not very comfortable, if they're not a student of mine, they don't understand how to do the command to clear it, they can use the Ascension 1 energies when they find those implants to clear them. And there tends to be a residual as well sometimes after the implants are removed. So you want to remove that residual as well and fill all holes with love and light. And that seems to work well. And there could be many layers of it. So people may want to check in a little bit later if they have any pain or any other dysfunction, just to check to see if there's anything there that's left over.
So Karen, what's the number one piece of advice you can give people that are looking or challenged to, heal chronic pain and some of the things that you've gone through?
Well, I think, this might change next week, but for this week, I would say is you want to be in charge, you and Source be in charge of your consciousness to co-create your reality, because boy, it is not fun when someone else is at the helm and co-creating your reality with you, the people that are constantly frustrated, constantly, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. Most of the time I find they are definitely, interfered with. And so that's my specialty, is removing and healing those dark forces. And like I said, I love them into the light. I don't, it's not us against them or we and them and us separate. It really is loving everything and everyone. And that's the fastest, easiest, safest way to heal.
How do you feel about doing a quick love activation for everybody?
Well, before we do that, I would love to have people check out my special offer that I made just for your listeners.
Absolutely.
It's at KarenCan.com/special. So Donna can put that in the chat. So KarenCan.com/special. And in there's a couple of packages that include my Ascension 1 and Ascension 2 healing product. That's either an MP4 video, which is the entire product, or the MP3, which is very popular because people use their phones to run it. And basically you run the program and then you make that intention of what it is you want to heal. So if you got, a brother who's addicted to crack cocaine in Louisiana and you're in Kansas, you can play it and then send the intention to him to help him with his addiction. If it's for his highest and greatest good, he will receive that energy. Or if you want to change a hurricane, we have many of my students actually play the Ascensions and then send it to Hurricane Matthew. And it was interesting because it worked. It didn't disappear like Patricia. That was pretty dramatic with Patricia. But we had it wobble. And it actually missed, this area where they were supposed to be devastated, and they were a lot of students of mine. And they just kept saying, thank you for everyone doing this. So check it out. The Karen Can special, the Ascension 1 and 2. Some people just want the MP3. It has not been available till today, but for the next week, we're going to make just the MP3s available with a bunch of bonuses for $49. So normally you'd have to buy the whole package. The MP4s, MP3s, of course, you get lots of bonuses as well. But in addition to the 2 silent and the audio MP3s of the Ascension 1 and 2, you'll also get 6 of my Fast Track Your Healing classes and some really other cool, neat gifts. And of course, instruction guides on how to use the Ascension tools in order to heal yourself and others.
That's awesome. Thank you for that. So we're almost at the end of our time together, but we would love for you to do a love activation for the crowd.
Okay, awesome. All right, so let's check in. I'm going to ask a question here. So on average, how full to capacity are people of love particles? This is out of a Lemurian book, by the way. This is where I'm getting this verbiage. 50, 60, 70, 60. Okay, so on average, about 60% full of love particles. And how charged are those love particles? 50, 60, okay, no, 50, 1, 2, 3. So 53% charged. So what we're going to do is we're going to fill you to capacity of love particles and have those charge up and have them automatically recharge every time you go to sleep. So when you give love during the day, these particles, the love leaves your particles. At the end of the day, you get recharged from source so that you can continue this wonderful cycle of giving and receiving, giving and receiving. Okay, so it is now commanded that everyone listening in who wishes this healing, that their love particles be expanded to full capacity in their bodies, minds, and souls in the highest and best way, and fully charged with speed, ease, and grace, and will charge automatically every night as they fall asleep. So it'll be 100% charged when they wake up in the morning. Thank you. Okay, so let's check in. So how full to capacity is every one of love particles on average? 50, 60, 70, 80, 95, 67, 97. And how fully charged are the particles themselves? 50, 60, 70, 80, 95, 67, 8, 98. Yeah, so that's usually not a hard thing to do. So that's pretty good. 97, 98. Excellent.
Very, very cool. Karen, you're an amazing woman. And I feel good that I was able to kind of bring you into this environment because you have allowed me on your show probably no less than 4 or 5 times over the years. So with that said, again, thank you. It's been an awesome interview. And folks, we're definitely going to have Karen back. This is the first time she's hearing about it. She doesn't know that yet, but we'll definitely get her back to answer some of your questions.
Yeah, I was wondering when we were going to get to that part, but
You know what? You guys
first time
were
on the show.
in such a
So.
good flow. There was no way. You guys were in such a good flow, and the power was there. So we're all like just buzzing over here in the chat. So yeah, we have to get you back, Karen.
That would be lovely. Thanks, Peter.
Thank you, everyone. Karen, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Donna. Good night, everyone. Thank you for listening.
Good
night, everyone.
Thank you. Bye.